Welcome to class 25 of business environment. So we are at the last, so this is the last class of third chapter. So the Factories Act. So why Factories Act was passed? So the main reason was to safeguard the interest and protect the health of workers. So when we say factory, so we imagine that the workers work hard there, right? So there are much possibilities so that the workers may be injured. So the workers are going to work in such a way that so their life, their health is not been protected. And to protect this, so there is an act called as Factory Act. And this act is going to explain the concepts like factory, workers, what are the manufacturing processes, what are the duties and liabilities of managers to ensure the healthy and safety working conditions. Okay, safety working conditions because they have to work with the huge machineries. So the environment in the factory is such a thing that it may harm the workers. So the safety of the workers is much more important. So this Factory Act is going to impose some duties, liabilities on the manager or the owners to ensure that the working condition in the factory is safety. Okay, the next is Workers' Compensation Act. So what is this Workers' Compensation Act? So Workers' Compensation Act is nothing but when we are going to give the compensation. So if anything went wrong, so if anything happened, so we are going to give the compensation, right? So here this act is passed to provide the compensation to the workers for injury or if any accident caused to the worker during the course of employment. So while working, if anything went wrong, and the worker is injured, so what happens? So there is something called compensation which is given to the employee if anything went wrong at the time of employment. So the act has classified the kinds of injuries and the compensation payable for each kind of injury. The next is Employee State Insurance Act. So this act is provided to protect or to provide the social security to the workers so that they are made compulsory to have the insurance. So all the workers should have the insurance compulsorily, and whatever premium you are going to pay towards this insurance, so that is been payable by the employee. The next is Employees Provident Fund Act. Employees Provident Fund Act is nothing but, so this act was passed in order to encourage the employees to save something or to invest some portion of their wages as a fund. So what happens here? Employer and employee, so they both contribute equally towards the fund. So that fund will earn some interest. So such fund, accumulated fund, is paid to the employee at his retirement or at the time of resignation. So the act has defined the concept like employer, employee, what is the fund contributed. So the separate office is also established to look after all this. So to look after the functioning of fund. The next is the Payment of Wages Act. Okay, so the Payment of Wages Act. So specially this act was passed to have a control over the payment of wages to the workers. Okay, so what happens here? The act is going to give the details about fixation of workers. So how many workers should be there? What are their time of work? So for payment of wages. So medium of payment means the source of payment, so where they are going to get the payment. So and the deduction from fines. So we are going to give the wage. Suppose a person has incurred any fine, you are going to deduct the fine from the wages. So absent from duty, suppose you are going to have a leave, or you are going to or not going to attend the duty, so your wages will be deducted. Then the next is recovery from loan, you have taken the loan and you are not able to repay it, so your wages will be deducted. So the act directs to maintain the proper register and received of the payment, wage payment, which means you are going to maintain the proper documents regarding the payment of wage. The last is Industrial Dispute Act. So there are some objectives of Industrial Dispute Act. So before that, why Industrial Disputes Act is there? So when there is no peace, when there is no harmony in the industry, there will be many reasons like strikes, disputes, lockouts. So what happens here? So there is no industrial peace, and to secure this industrial peace, you should have an act called as Industrial Dispute Act. So it is going to prevent and settle the industrial disputes between employer and the workman. Okay, suppose anything goes wrong between the employer and employee, so what happens? So they stop to work, they stop doing the work and say we are not going to work, so no more, and we are going to do some strikes. So what happens here? Industrial peace is not there. So Industrial Dispute Act is going to settle all these things. The next stage, it says internal committee. Why internal committees should be there? So to ensure that there is a good relationship between the workers. So there is a good relationship between the employees and the workers and the co-workers also. So for that, the next is to redress grievances of workmen. What is grievances? So grievances are nothing but the grievances are the problems of the workmen. So when there is a problem for the workmen, so they are going to raise their voice, right? And when they raise their voice, so there will be the dispute. So there will be the difference of opinion between the workers and the employers. So to redress all these things, so to solve all these things, so there is a act called as Industrial Dispute Act. So the act has defined the concept like industrial disputes, strikes, lockouts, etc. So act has recommended various machineries for settlement of industrial disputes, or your machinery is nothing but the mechanisms. Okay, so thank you.